Well, if today's boom is built on a fragile confluence of factors, it could end as quickly as it arrived. So how do rural communities actually survive? Well, recently I sat down with Tom Dorr, USDA's top man in our nation's capital for rural development, and asked him just that. Mr. Dorr, being an energy state, Oklahoma is really in a very unique position to benefit both from agriculture and from energy. But as we've seen in the past, both of those industries are very cyclical in nature. How do we avoid having the boom and then the bust?
Well, I don't know. If I had that answer, I'd be running my own hedge fund and doing something other than what I'm doing now. I think it is fair to say that what we have all collectively overlooked is this extraordinary new demand for energy that's an outgrowth of what I discussed earlier today in my remarks, and that's we won the Cold War. When the Iron Curtain came down in 1989, we literally placed 3 billion people into the global marketplace. And as producers, when that occurred, I was in Eastern Europe in 1990, January of 1990, and as producers, we were giddy with the anticipation that we were going to have the opportunity to provide food and look for new markets for the commodities that we produce for people who'd want better diets. The thing that we all, I think, academics, government officials, business analysts, we all overlooked this extraordinary new demand for energy. When people get a better diet and they get their tummies full, the next thing they want to do is they want to get off of their buses, they want to get off of their donkeys, they want to start riding cars, they want to start riding motorcycles, they want to start living in homes that are heated and air conditioned, they want to have a better lifestyle. I think this is really a much better news story than we tend to perceive it as. And the fact is, we won the Cold War, and this is the price of victory. We have 3 billion people that have entered the global marketplace. Out of 6 billion people in the world, they're elevating standards of living. It's an opportunity. It certainly is presenting challenges at this point, but it's long-term an opportunity. So back to your question, how do we mitigate the cycles? I don't know that we'll mitigate the cycles, but I do know that in agriculture and in energy, starting with agriculture, where we used to produce food, feed, and fiber, we're now clearly producing food, feed, fiber, and fuel. The energy industry is one that has a linear growth curve. The demand for liquid fuels and power is not like the demand for calories. You know, when people become more sophisticated economically, their caloric demand requirements peak and they tail off. When we become more sophisticated economically, our demand for liquid fuels and power go up linearly. That is a significant disruption to the traditional energy industries. But in the meantime, we also know that the global demand for energy is going to tax all of these traditional sources. And it means that we're going to look for alternative sources, and they will in themselves be disruptive to the old traditional sources. And that, in my view, suggests that we may have a longer demand curve, growth in the demand for the things that we originate in rural areas, whether it be feed grains and food grains, whether it be solar energy, whether it be geothermal, whether it be wind. But the market's high enough to make it possible to investigate these and see if we can do them economically. And it's clear in a number of areas that we're beginning to broach those levels where we can do these things economically.